Pay attention to this home security camera mounted on a porch records the quiet of a sleeping neighborhood. The image is grainy, blue-tinted, fixed angle, the kind of footage that sits on a hard drive for weeks before anyone thinks to pull it. Then two figures enter the frame, a woman and a man, standing close. They share a kiss, unhurried, comfortable. The camera holds them in frame for 30 seconds. No argument, no raised voices, nothing that reads as a warning sign. Then they step out of frame. The camera keeps recording. The street stays empty. Nothing else moves. But someone else had already seen this footage before investigators did. And that person left no trace on any camera. No confrontational phone calls. No visible reaction. Nothing a lens could catch. What the cameras couldn't record was the decision being made. Within weeks, the man captured in that 30-second clip would be dead. And when investigators pulled every camera in the area, the porch camera, the street cameras, the neighbor's doorbell footage, what they reconstructed was not a crime of passion. It was a plan. Quiet, calculated, and it had started the moment that kiss was recorded. 30 seconds of footage. That was the beginning of everything. Before we continue, don't forget to like this video, hit the subscribe button because this story is just getting started. Michel Bonotto was 35 years old. He lived and worked in the Sorriso region of Mato Grosso, a busy growing city in Brazil's west central state. He was a businessman, the kind of man people remembered after meeting him once, warm, social. The type who knew everyone in the room and made each person feel like they mattered. He had a mother named Vera. She loved him fiercely, and when the worst happened, she would be the one standing in front of cameras, demanding that the world pay attention, demanding that her son's name not be forgotten. But to understand what happened to Ivan, you have to understand one relationship above all others. Gabriel Tacca. The two men had known each other for decades. They did not simply grow up in the same city. They grew up inside each other's lives. Business partners, confidants, the kind of friends who show up at 2 a.m. when everything falls apart. People who knew them said the word brothers without hesitation because friends did not come close to covering it. Gabriel had built something real for himself. He owned a popular bar in Sorriso, a social hub, the kind of place where the city came to unwind. He was charismatic and well-liked, the man who remembered your name, pulled up a chair, and made you feel welcome. By every outward measure, he was successful, grounded, and respected. His wife was Sabrina de Mello, a gynecologist. In medical circles, she carried real authority, the kind that comes from years of training and a reputation built on trust. Patients relied on her. Colleagues respected her. She and Gabriel appeared to everyone around them to be exactly what they looked like. Two ambitious people who had built a good life together. Ivan was woven into that life completely. He was a regular presence in their home, a fixture at Gabriel's bar, a constant in both their worlds. 3 people, tightly connected, publicly close. But underneath that picture of loyalty and success, something had been quietly breaking apart. And no one on the outside could see it yet. No one can say exactly when it started. According to police investigation findings, Ivan and Sabrina had developed a relationship that went far beyond what either of them should have allowed. The details of how it began were never fully confirmed publicly. But investigators believe it grew slowly, in the quiet spaces of a busy marriage, in the moments when Gabriel was consumed by work, in the silences that settle over 2 people, when the life they built together starts running on routine instead of connection. Ivan knew Gabriel's home. He was welcome there. He was trusted there. That trust became the door. The home security camera on the porch did not know any of that. It only recorded what it saw. At 2:47 a.m, a woman and a man appeared in its frame. They kissed, comfortable, unhurried. Then they were gone. 30 seconds of footage, nothing more. But those 30 seconds were enough. Gabriel found the recording. Investigators have not publicly confirmed exactly when or how, but at some point, he sat alone with that footage on his phone. No one else in the room. Just him and the image of his wife and his closest friend. Most people, in that moment, would break. They would call, confront, scream, demand answers. The pain would pour out before they could stop it. Because that is what human beings do when something tears through them. Gabriel did none of that. According to the investigation, he watched the footage on loop. And somewhere in those repeated viewings, the grief did not pour out. It hardened. It settled into something cold and deliberate, something that did not look like heartbreak anymore. By the time the sun came up, a decision had been made. Not to confront Ivan, not to end the marriage, not to walk away. The decision was something else entirely. Something that would take weeks to build and one night to execute. Gabriel Tacca did not react like a man who had been hurt. He began to move like a man with a plan. And Ivan had no idea. The morning after Gabriel made his decision, nothing changed. He greeted Ivan with the same warmth as always, the same embrace, the same easy laugh. He kissed Sabrina goodbye each morning without a flicker of accusation in his eyes. He invited Ivan for drinks, for business conversations, for all the ordinary rituals of their friendship. To Ivan and Sabrina, the secret was still safe. And the affair continued. The trust held, or appeared to. Gabriel played his role so completely that neither of them sensed anything had shifted. That performance, maintained over weeks, was not the act of a man overwhelmed by emotion. It was the act of someone building something carefully, brick by brick, making sure nothing collapsed before it was finished. During this period, according to police, Gabriel made contact with a man named Danilo Carlos Guimarães. Danilo had no obvious connection to Ivan. He did not move in the same social circles. He was not a familiar face at Gabriel's bar. On the surface, he was nobody, a stranger with no visible reason to be involved in any of this. That was precisely why Gabriel chose him. Investigators later established the connection through phone records, cell tower data, and social media analysis. The communications between Gabriel and Danilo stretched back weeks before the attack, long enough to confirm this was not a spontaneous decision. According to prosecutors, Danilo was not a random acquaintance. He was recruited, identified, contacted, and brought into the plan with a specific purpose. He would be the blade. Gabriel chose the location with the same precision. Not a neutral venue, not somewhere unfamiliar. He chose his own bar, the place he knew better than anywhere else on earth. He knew every camera angle in that building. He knew which corners fell into blind spots. He knew the crowd patterns on different nights, which staff were on shift, and how chaos moved through a packed room. The plan took shape around all of that knowledge. Gabriel and Danilo would stage a loud or aggressive argument, the kind that pulls every eye in the room. While the crowd watched the confrontation, Danilo would slip away and approach Ivan from behind. One strike, swift, targeted. By the time anyone understood what had happened, Danilo would have disappeared into the confusion. Then Gabriel would deliver the final piece of the performance. He would rush to Ivan's side. He would scream for help. He would hold his dying friend and weep. And every body camera, every witness, every official report would record a man shattered by grief. A random bar fight, a senseless tragedy, a stranger's blade. No one would look at the grieving best friend twice. The trap was built. The invitation went out. Ivan said yes. On the 22nd of March, 2025, Ivan walked into Gabriel's bar. He had no reason to be cautious. He had been in that building dozens of times. He knew the staff, the layout, the familiar hum of music and conversation. Gabriel met him at the door with an embrace. Warm, easy, exactly as it had always been. Ivan settled in. But something was wrong. He could not name it. There was no single moment he could point to. It was subtler than that, a tension in the air that did not match the noise around him. A feeling that the room, despite everything appearing normal, was not safe. According to the investigation, Ivan's instinct sharpened that evening in a way he could not explain. He reached for his phone. Police later confirmed that at some point during the evening, Ivan began recording. Whatever his reason, whether he sensed danger, wanted documentation, or simply acted on instinct, he pointed his camera at the people around him and pressed record. He captured Gabriel. He captured Danilo. He captured the moments before everything broke open. He did not know it then, but that recording would outlast him. The staged argument erupted without warning. Gabriel and Danilo launched into a loud, aggressive confrontation. Voices raised, bodies squared off, the kind of heated exchange that stops a room cold. Conversations died, heads turned. Every person in that bar fixed their attention on the two men performing in front of them, including Ivan. And in that precise window, while every eye was pointed forward, Danilo slipped away from the staged fight. He moved through the crowd. He came up behind Ivan, one strike, from behind, targeted and swift. Ivan went down. The bar erupted, screaming. Overturned chairs, the crash of glass. Patrons scrambling away from something they did not yet understand. Then Gabriel moved. He rushed to Ivan's side and dropped to his knees. He pressed his hands against the wound. He screamed for someone to call an ambulance. Tears ran down his face. His voice broke as he begged Ivan to hold on, to stay with him, to fight. When emergency services arrived, their body cameras captured exactly what Gabriel had designed them to capture. A man on his knees beside his dying friend, inconsolable, desperate, destroyed. Witnesses later described Gabriel's reaction as the response of someone who had just lost a brother. Officers documented the scene as a bar fight gone fatally wrong. The official narrative was forming in real time, shaped by everything Gabriel had planned and everything the room had witnessed. Ivan was rushed to hospital, clinging to life. The perfect crime appeared to be holding together. If you want to see how it all unraveled, stay with us. Subscribe so you never miss a story like this. Ivan survived the surgery. The wound had been severe, the blood loss significant, but somehow, against the odds, his body held on through the night and into the following days. Medical staff worked to stabilize him. The bar fight narrative was solidifying in police reports, and the man who had orchestrated everything was already performing grief for anyone who would witness it. Then Sabrina arrived at the hospital. She did not come as a woman desperate to see someone she cared about. She did not come empty-handed. She came armed with something far more useful than tears, her medical credentials. As a practicing gynecologist with hospital privileges, she was a familiar face in medical settings. Security personnel recognized her. Staff stepped aside. The corridors that would have been closed to an ordinary visitor opened without question. Hospital CCTV cameras recorded what happened next. The footage shows Sabrina locating Ivan's personal belongings. She retrieves his phone. Her movements, according to investigators, were quick and deliberate, not the movements of someone looking for comfort or checking on his condition. She scrolled through the device with focus and urgency. She deleted the messages between them first, the private conversations, the digital record of an affair that could unravel her marriage and her reputation. Then she found the video. The recording Ivan had made at the bar, the footage capturing Gabriel and Danilo in the moments before the attack. She deleted that too. Floors below, Ivan was still unconscious. Surgeons had fought to keep him alive. He had no idea that the evidence he had instinctively gathered, his one act of self-preservation, was being erased by the woman he had trusted with his secrets. When Ivan regained consciousness, one of the first things he did was reach for his phone. The files were gone. The messages had vanished. The video no longer existed, or so it appeared. He did not need an explanation. He understood immediately who had been there and what had been taken. With whatever strength remained in his broken body, Ivan made one final decision. He banned Sabrina from his hospital room. He refused to see her. No explanations, no visits, no contact. It was the last boundary he would ever draw. On the 13th of April, 2025, 22 days after the stabbing, Ivan suffered a cardiac arrest. His heart gave out. The blade had not finished the job on the night of March 22nd. It just took longer than planned. The investigators assigned to this case were not satisfied. The bar fight story had witnesses. It had body cam footage. It had a grieving best friend who had held the victim in his arms. On paper, it looked like a tragedy, random, senseless, and closed. But experienced detectives know when a story is too clean, when the pieces fit together a little too perfectly, when grief looks more like a performance than a reaction. Something about Gabriel's behavior nagged at them. The narrative had no loose ends, and real tragedies almost always do. They seized Ivan's phone. Most people believe that deleting a file makes it disappear. It does not. When a file is erased, the device simply marks that space as available for new data. Until something else is written over it, the original information leaves behind what forensic experts call ghost impressions, fragments of data that remain recoverable by those with the right tools and training. The Mato Grosso Civil Police Digital Forensics Unit had both. For days, technicians worked through Ivan's device. They used specialized software to excavate the digital graveyard where deleted files had been buried. They reconstructed fragments. They pieced together corrupted data, sector by sector, with the patience that a case like this demanded. And then they found it. The video Ivan had recorded at the bar on the night of March 22nd surfaced from the wreckage. Investigators watched it play across their monitors, and the bar fight story collapsed in real time. The footage did not show a spontaneous argument between strangers. It showed Gabriel and Danilo in the moments before the staged confrontation, whispering, exchanging nods, Gabriel scanning the room while Danilo positioned himself. Two men coordinating an execution in plain sight, surrounded by people who had no idea what they were watching. Ivan had seen it coming. He had trusted his instincts, and from beyond death, he had handed investigators exactly what they needed. Gabriel was brought in under the pretense of providing additional witness testimony. Standard procedure, detectives told him, just filling in some gaps in the timeline. He arrived confident, cooperative, still wearing the mask. Then investigators pressed play. Gabriel watched himself on that screen. The whispers, the nods, the coordinated performance, captured by the phone of the man he had killed. The color left his face. The mask cracked. He went silent. Phone records, cell tower data, and social media analysis confirmed what the video had already shown. Danilo was not a stranger. He had been recruited, contacted, and deployed. Weeks before Ivan ever walked through that door. 3 months after Ivan's death, the Mato Grosso Civil Police moved. Gabriel Tacca and Danilo Carlos Guimarães were arrested and charged with qualified homicide. Preventive detention was ordered for both men. The investigation that had begun with a bar fight story ended with 2 people in custody for a premeditated murder, exposed in large part by the victim they had underestimated. Then came Sabrina's charge and the public reaction that followed. Despite hospital CCTV footage clearly showing her accessing Ivan's phone and deleting files, Sabrina was charged with procedural fraud, a lesser charge, one that acknowledged the evidence tampering but stopped well short of connecting her to the murder itself. Prosecutors could not definitively prove that she had known about Gabriel's plan before the attack. The hospital footage confirmed what she did after, but what she knew before remained an open question. Her defense argued that she had acted out of panic and shame, that she deleted the messages to protect her reputation, not to conceal a homicide, that she had no prior knowledge of what Gabriel had arranged. The law draws a clear line between planning a murder and destroying evidence after the fact. Prosecutors, according to court records, could not move her across that line, but the public was not bound by the same standard of proof. Social media in Mato Grosso erupted. The charge disparity sparked widespread anger. Questions spread quickly. How could a woman who used her medical credentials to enter a trauma ward and erase a dying man's evidence walk away with a lesser charge? Whether or not she knew the full plan, she had made a choice, and that choice had consequences for justice. Vera, Ivan's mother, spoke publicly. She demanded full accountability. She refused to let her son's name fade quietly from the conversation. On her behalf, prosecutors filed a civil claim seeking 500,000 reais in damages. As of the time this script was written, the legal process remains ongoing. No trial verdict has been publicly confirmed. Gabriel and Danilo remain in preventive detention. Sabrina's case continues. The courtroom has not yet delivered its final word. And for Vera, the wait continues. Gabriel Tacca spent weeks building what he believed was the perfect crime. He controlled the location. He controlled the narrative. He controlled the witnesses. He had planned for grief, for body cameras, for investigators chasing shadows. He had planned for almost everything. He did not plan for Ivan. In the final minutes of his life as a free man, Ivan reached for his phone and pressed record. No one told him to. No one was there to guide him. Something inside him recognized danger before his mind could name it, and he acted on it. That single decision, made in a crowded bar on the night of March 22nd, became the one thing the cover-up could not survive. Sabrina deleted the video. But deletion is not destruction. The data remained, buried in the device, waiting for the people with the tools and the will to find it. Ivan's final act of self-preservation outlasted every attempt to erase it. This case also leaves behind a quieter truth, one that does not require a verdict to understand. The people who carry the most access to our lives are the same people who carry the most capacity to cause harm. Not because closeness is dangerous, but because trust, once weaponized, is nearly impossible to see coming. 2 cameras captured the full arc of this story. Onto the home security footage that started everything, the phone recording that ended it. Together, they created a loop of evidence that no performance, no deleted file, and no staged grief could break. Vera is still waiting for the courtroom to finish what the investigation started. Her son's name deserves to be spoken clearly, and his story deserves a full accounting. We will continue to follow this case as it develops. If this story stayed with you, share it, Subscribe and come back for the next one. For Ivan, and for everyone still waiting for the truth to be heard.